Once upon a time, in a land far away, lurked a breed of creatures that struck fear into the hearts of all who heard their thunderous hooves. These were the evil centaurs, notorious for their destructive nature and insatiable thirst for chaos. Inhabiting the untamed mountains and dense forest thickets, they ruled over their domain with an iron hoof, leaving devastation in their wake. Their appearance alone sent shivers down the spine. Wild mortal creatures with the head and torso of a man atop the powerful body of a majestic horse. From a distance, they looked like magnificent beings, but as one drew closer, the darkness within their eyes revealed their true nature. Their features twisted into sinister grins, promising nothing but pain and suffering. Driven by a violent temper and a thirst for power, the centaurs galloped through the land, leaving no village, town, or city untouched by their rampage. Homes were demolished, crops ravaged, and lives destroyed as they mercilessly trampled anything that stood in their way. The once thriving fields turned into barren wastelands, echoing the cries of those who had fallen victim to their unrelenting savagery. Their intemperate ways knew no bounds. They reveled in chaos, delighting in the destruction they wrought upon all forms of life. With each passing day, the evil centaurs grew bolder, searching for fresh conquests to quench their insatiable appetite for domination. Tales of their horrifying deeds spread across the realm, suffocating the hope of those who dared to resist. Fear took hold, and even the bravest among the land's inhabitants cowered in the shadows, seeking refuge from the malevolence that ravaged their homes. As the evil centaurs continued their reign of terror, the world teetered on the brink of despair. Darkness blanketed the once vibrant land, and the cries for salvation went unanswered. The mountains trembled, and the forests whispered tales of impending doom, their voices carrying the weight of 1,000 shattered dreams. Rivers of blood cascaded from the mortal wounds inflicted upon countless victims. The Resistance's attempt to defy the evil centaurs was met with ruthless slaughter, as their feeble attempts for liberation only fueled the centaurs' insatiable thirst for carnage. No hero emerged from the shadows to vanquish these abominations. Instead, a merciless cycle of violence engulfed the land, perpetuated by the bloodlust of the centaurs. A never-ending symphony of agony echoed through the ravaged valleys and crumbled cities, a grotesque melody for the malevolent beings reveling in the chaos they had sown. The centaurs exhibited a twisted pleasure in each life they extinguished. Their ragged breaths mingled with the anguished cries of their victims, driving them into a maddened frenzy. Limbs were severed, entrails ripped asunder, and hearts torn from chests, all in the name of their sadistic pleasure. The once familiar landscapes transformed into nightmarish wastelands, marked by the scattered remnants of lives destroyed. Corpses hung like morbid ornaments, dangling from twisted branches, a horrifying tribute to the centaur's tyranny. The air, heavy with a metallic tang, seemed to suffocate any flicker of hope that dared to remain. In a macabre twist of fate, the victims themselves began to rise, their mutilated bodies reanimated under a twisted spell cast by the centaurs. A legion of grotesque beings, driven by a relentless hunger for vengeance, stumbled forward, their shattered souls forever enslaved to the will of their merciless tormentors. The centaurs reveled in the chaos that unfolded around them, indulging in the brutality they had unleashed. Amid the enigmatic darkness of their souls, they relished each drop of blood that tainted the ground, each anguished cry that echoed through the twisted corridors of their psyches. Their violent temper remained unquenched, and they pressed forward, leaving destruction in their wake. The blood-soaked legacy of the evil centaurs grew with every step, their ferocious rage unchecked and unyielding. No corner of the land was untouched by their heinous acts. Mountains stood as silent witnesses, their peaks stained with the memories of countless lives slaughtered under the weight of their hooves. With every passing day, the centaurs' appetite for destruction and chaos only intensified. From village to village, they marauded, reveling in the torment they inflicted upon the innocent. Their violent temper knew no bounds as they trampled through homes, leaving nothing but shattered memories in their wake. The inhabitants of the land trembled, their spirits crushed under the tyranny of these monstrous creatures. They huddled together, helpless and broken, their only solace being the fleeting moments of respite between the centaurs' rampages. Yet, even in the darkest of times, flickers of resistance still shimmered amidst the despair. A desperate few, scarred by loss and ravaged by grief, rose to challenge the centaurs' unrelenting reign. Armed with scraps of hope and shards of vengeance, they embraced the path of rebellion. Knowing the odds were stacked against them, they prepared for a brutal dance with doom. Fueled by a desperate longing for freedom, stealth and cunning became their allies as they skulked through the shadows, devising strategies to undermine the centaurs' dominance. Every step was calculated, every strike precise, as they planned their assault on the monstrous horde. This was not a tale of heroes, but rather a story of survival against insurmountable odds. Blood was spilled as these brave souls clashed with the centaurs. Limbs were rent from bodies, sinew and flesh intermingling in a grotesque ballet of violence. Crimson streams washed over the landscape, saturating the very essence of the land and tainting it with despair. Yet, in the midst of this brutality, flickers of defiance sparked within the hearts of the resistance. The battle raged on, neither side willing to surrender. The centaurs unleashed their fury, tearing through the ranks of those who dared to oppose them. Their victims fought valiantly, driven by an unyielding spirit, their determination casting a defiant light amidst the swirling darkness. Despite their valiant efforts, the brave souls who dared to challenge the centaurs found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer might and unyielding wrath of their adversaries. The centaurs, fueled by an insatiable hunger for power, proved to be an unstoppable force. The resistance's ranks dwindled as the centaurs launched merciless counterattacks, their brutality leaving no room for reprieve. Limbs were severed, bodies were crushed, and souls were shattered under the weight of their ferocity. One by one, the brave men succumbed to the overwhelming odds, their hopes and dreams unraveling amidst the chaos. Blood flowed like a crimson river, pooling beneath the lifeless forms of the resistance fighters. Their valor and defiance were tragically unmatched against the dark forces that held them captive. The land quivered in silent mourning, as if lamenting the loss of the brave souls who had dared to challenge the malevolent might of the centaurs. The centaurs, their eyes burning with a twisted delight, reveled in their triumph. They snarled with satisfaction, savoring the sight of their fallen foes scattered across the battlefield. The air hung heavy with the stench of defeat, mingling with the metallic tang of fresh blood. Those who survived, though battered and broken, watched from the shadows, their spirits crushed by the futility of their efforts. They yearned for a savior, for a glimmer of hope amidst the devastation. But as the centaurs continued their rampant path of destruction, it seemed that darkness had firmly ensnared the land, extinguishing any flicker of resistance. Despite the devastating defeat of the resistance, whispers of defiance and desperate gloatings echoed in the shadows of the land. Other brave souls, fueled by an undying determination, stepped forward, ready to challenge the centaurs once more. These new attempts at overthrowing the monstrous horde held glimmers of hope, but the centaurs remained a black and formidable force, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Each encounter was met with an unyielding rage and brutal retribution, as the centaurs unleashed their full might upon those who dared to stand against them. The forces of resistance, nagged by the bitter taste of failure, or the scars of their previous battles as a reminder of the centaur's insatiable wrath. They strategized, honed their skills, and united in their shared desire to deliver their land from the grip of darkness. Yet, the odds grew ever stacked against them, and their victories, if any, came with heavy losses. In these bouts of desperate struggle, fields became battlegrounds, soaked with the blood of fallen warriors. The war cries of resistance fighters mingled with the enraged roars of the centaurs, creating a grim cacophony of violence that reverberated through the desecrated landscape. With every fallen comrade, the resolve of the resistance wavered, burdened by the weight of relentless defeat. Hope, fragile and flickering, seemed to retreat further into the obsidian darkness cast by the centaurs. Each setback added another layer of doubt upon their hardened hearts, yet a persistent few refused to surrender. They continued to defy the inevitable, fueled by a deep-rooted belief that even the cruelest night would eventually yield to the dawn. Their unwavering faith guided their actions as they pushed forward, refusing to let the spirit of their land be crushed beneath the iron hooves of the centaurs. In the face of mounting desperation, the resistance sought new allies and bolder strategies. They scoured forbidden tomes and sought counsel from ancient beings who whispered secrets of ancient lore. Desperate pacts were forged, trading one darkness for another, all in the hopes of finding a sliver of redemption. Armed with newfound knowledge and forbidden powers, the resistance launched daring assaults on the centaurs' strongholds. Arcane magics clashed with brutal strength, the clash of steel and the crackle of arcane energies filling the air. The battlegrounds became a surreal spectacle, where reality and nightmare intertwined in a twisted dance. Yet, with each attempt, the centaurs revealed the depths of their wickedness. They utilized dark sorceries of their own, twisting the very fabric of reality to suit their whims. Their uncontrollable tempers merged with their newfound powers, creating a storm of destruction that defied comprehension. Landmarks once imbued with ancient magic were reduced to smoldering ruins. The centaur's path of destruction unrelenting. The land bled under their hooves, its once vibrant hues tainted by the abyss that consumed it. The resistance, with every strike and spell cast, fought against the encroaching darkness, determined to restore balance to a world teetering on the edge of oblivion. Amidst the chaos, the courageous few stood their ground. They faced the centaurs with unwavering resolve, their spirits undiminished by the bloodshed. Sacrifices were made as comrades fell in the battle against overwhelming odds. Each fallen warrior etched their name into the tapestry of resistance, heroes who had dared to challenge the very embodiment of evil. As the struggle intensified, the lines between hope and despair began to blur. The resistance fought with every ounce of their strength, but the centaurs proved to be an indomitable foe. With the land crumbling around them, the fate of all hung in the balance. Would the forces of darkness continue their reign unopposed, or would a glimmer of light yet emerge from the shadows to tip the scales of destiny? The battle between the centaurs and the resistance escalated to unimaginable heights. The land itself became a canvas of devastation, scarred by the cataclysmic clashes that reverberated throughout its core. Mountains trembled, forests quivered, and rivers ran blood-red as the scales of destiny teetered precariously. The resistance refused to surrender, their spirit unbreakable despite the overwhelming odds. They united with sorcerers who wielded ancient spells, warriors who harnessed forgotten techniques, and creatures of the wild who sensed the impending doom. Together, they launched a final assault, pouring every ounce of strength and determination into one final act of defiance. An epic battlefield unfolded, stretching as far as I could see. Each blade clashed against malevolent hooves. Each spell collided with the dark magic of the centaurs. The ground quaked beneath the weight of the titanic struggle. As the resistance fought to hold their ground, their ferocity fueled by the echoes of their fallen comrades. Powers clashed, igniting the air with bursts of energy, as the resistance pushed themselves to the very limits of their abilities. Cries of anguish mingled with roars of fury, the battle reaching a crescendo that threatened to shatter reality. As the conflict reached its climax, a cataclysmic force surged forth, tearing apart the fabric of the world. A tempest of energy enveloped the combatants, forcing even the bravest to pause for a moment of disbelief. The very laws of existence seemed to bend and contort as the rift between hope and despair, triumph and defeat, widened. In this critical juncture, the final outcome of the Centaur's reign remained uncertain. The fate of all who dwelled in the land hung in the balance. As the forces of chaos clashed unrelentingly with resilience and the flickers of hope, the battle raged on, the clash of swords and the thud of arrows resonating throughout the forest. The centaurs, determined and unwavering, fought with all their strength, their hooves stamping the ground with power and their bows launching arrows with precision. The invaders, taken aback by the centaurs' resilience, were met with a force they had not anticipated. But despite the centaurs' valiant efforts, the enemy seemed relentless, their numbers seemingly infinite. The odds were stacked against the centaurs, and despair started to creep into their hearts. However, the centaurs refused to surrender. In the heart of the chaos, their leader, Arian, emerged with renewed determination. Galloping to the center of the battlefield, he rallied his weary comrades, his voice thundering through the air. "Brothers and sisters, we may be outnumbered, but we shall not back down," Arian exclaimed, his eyes blazing with an indomitable spirit. "We are the descendants of mighty beasts, a fusion of strength and wisdom. We must tap into our ancestral power and stand as one." With Arian's words resonating in their hearts, the centaurs renewed their attack, fighting with an unparalleled fervor. Their hooves pounded the earth, creating a symphony of determination, while their arrows soared through the sky like swift winds. As their unity grew stronger, a surge of mystical energy began to radiate from their very beings. Each centaur felt the ancient power coursing through their veins, empowering their strikes and shielding them from harm. Bolstered by this newfound might, the centaurs fought with unparalleled prowess, blending their equine grace and archery skills seamlessly. They outmaneuvered their foes and struck with deadly accuracy. The invaders trembled before this display of unity and strength, their once brash confidence beginning to waver. Seeing the invaders falter, Arian galloped forward, his presence commanding attention. Lifting his bow high, he drew back an arrow imbued with the collective powers of his clan. With a swift release, it soared through the air, finding its mark and striking the enemy's leader with unyielding force. The invaders, now leaderless and demoralized, retreated in disarray, fleeing from the forest they had sought to conquer. Victory belonged to the centaurs, a testament to their unwavering spirit and unbreakable unity. As the dust settled and the sounds of battle faded, the centaurs stood proud among the fallen enemy. They had overcome insurmountable odds, their strength and resilience conquering all doubt. The forest, once threatened with darkness, now bloomed with renewed life, a symbol of the centaurs' triumph. And so, the legend of the centaurs' victory spread far and wide, inspiring not only their fellow mythical beings, but also mortal races alike. The centaurs had proven that unity and determination could overcome any adversity, and their story would be told for generations to come.